I'm 6:05. I call the meeting together. The meeting of the Atoka City Council. I ask everyone to rise as we do the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Face the flag. Salute. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and we just thank you, God, for a beautiful day. And God, I just pray as we go through this meeting that you will just give us the answers, show us the way, God, as we make these decisions, give us the wisdom to make them. And God, I just pray for our country, and I pray for, God, for unity, and I just pray that, God, we would all look to you for the answers. And I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this evening. At this time, would the clerk call roll, please?
Mr. Turner, Mr. Sherrill,
Here.
Ms. McGee. Here. Ms. Pogue. Here. Mr. Cathy.
Here. Let's move down the agenda. This is the public comment time. This is anything that's not on the posted agenda. You may address the board at this time. Hearing none, we'll move down to the business agenda. Item number 1, discussion and/or action regarding approving or rejecting the minutes of the meeting of June 2nd, 2025.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGee.
Yes.
Ms. Pogue.
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Cathy.
Yes. Item number 2, discussion and/or action regarding accepting or rejecting the city manager's report. Mr. Delay, good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My report's on attachment number 2, if anyone has any questions.
So we've got a lot of the trees and
Yes, ma'am.
stuff
They've been
that,
working
we've been
extraordinarily hard.
working hard, because some of those trees were big.
Yeah.
things.
Had a lot of storm damage over the last month and a half to 2 months. So.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
A motion is second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Ms. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Cathy.
Yes. Item number 3, discussion and/or action on approving or rejecting payment of purchase orders for the city of Atoka for the month of May 2025.
Those are on attachment number 3. I've reviewed all those prior to the meeting.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Ms. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Cathy.
Yes. Item number 4, discussion and/or action to enter into an agreement between the city of Atoka and H.W. Lochner, Inc. for airport planning services in the amount of $380,400. Planning services include the completion of an environmental assessment and airport layout plan, which will evaluate potential environmental impacts and illustrate the future development of a replacement airport. Entering into this agreement will void the previous approved airport planning agreement between the city of Atoka and H.W. Lochner, Inc., approved on May 22nd, 2025. And you have that in your attachment. Keenan, would you like to
no.
come up?
Oh,
Keenan with
this-
Lochner, he'll
this is
have
it
some
right here.
explanations as to why we had some changes.
No, it's the.
Oh, attachment 4.
Yeah, attachment 4. Oh, it'll be,
It says attachment provided at meeting.
yeah, it's sorry,
No.
sorry, it's right here. So,
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. A couple of reasons why I want to be here today is one, I wanted to hand deliver the thick grant application to Susan so I can watch the pain in the mayor's eyes as he signs about 100 pages worth of signatures. So that's number 1. Number 2, as the mayor said, there was an agreement that was on the agenda a couple of weeks ago that you voted and approved on. This has been, as you may know, it's kind of been an ever-evolving project. Some things have changed. Some new FAA faces have come on board with the FAA staff as some are leaving. So new faces come, new reviews and new comments. So they had some comments on it, and apologies, I probably maybe jumped the gun a little bit having the last agreement on the agenda before any FAA comments were put on there. But the contract is essentially the same. The FAA did want to add 2 elements to this that increase the scope a little bit and increase the fee just marginally. Those 2 elements were they wanted to surprisingly conduct a noise analysis, which is just going to force us to generate some noise contours just to ensure that there's not any noise spillover onto adjacent properties for the replacement airport. Not that there's a whole lot out there. And based kind of on what we project, the type of operations coming on there, we don't anticipate it being an issue. But nevertheless, the FAA wanted us to go ahead and do that, so that increased our scope and fee a little bit. And the other one was they wanted us to conduct 2 public meetings for the environmental assessment portion of the project. The first one will be more of a kickoff. They'll both be open to the public, but I envision the first one being mostly internal staff, city staff, to go over the scope of the environmental assessment, just to make sure we're sharing with you everything that we're going to cover, so there's no surprises at the end of the project. And the second public hearing will be open to the public and will present the preliminary findings of the environmental assessment. And that way, the public can give their input, they can ask questions, they can give their, negative input or voice their support, stuff like that. So that increased the contract amount. I think the original one was $360,000. This raised it up to about $384,000, in which the cities will still just have to match or come up with a 2.5% local match for that project, which amounts to about $9,600 is what you're going to have out of pocket. So I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions?
So the increase, one more time, 300 and.
It was about a $20,000 increase. I think originally.
All
it
the
was
extra
for-
studies that have, yeah, on the previous amount we approved at the end of May,
We had the 364.
yes.
Okay.
And it went up to
380,
400.
This paper still says the same thing on the attachments, just so you know.
Oh, I'm sorry. The resolution
The resolution
total
says-
has what the federal share is.
Okay.
95% of $384,000 is that 364 and some
800.
change
800, okay.
on there, yeah.
So who pays the other 5%?
It's 2.5% to us and 2.5% Oklahoma Aeronautics.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see, I get it. Okay.
Any other questions?
I recommend approving.
Okay, have a motion on the floor to approve. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Item number 5, discussion and/or action to approve or reject the adoption of resolution number 2025-13, accepting a grant offer from the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Aviation Administration for an airport layout plan and environmental assessment, FAA BIL project number 3-40-0088-1 or 017-2025, NFA AIP project number 3-40-0124-18-2025 for the Atoka Municipal Airport. Easy for me to say. At this time, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Item number 6, discussion and/or action regarding approving and rejecting the annual audit report for the fiscal year 2024 by April Adams. Good evening, April. Thank you for driving all the way in this evening and being with us.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I will just give you a quick rundown, and then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Because I know there were some concerns last year with the finding that you guys had. And I don't know if anyone's had a chance to go through and look at everything this year, but the finding has been removed. Kelly put in a lot of work to do all the adjustments herself this year, so there weren't any adjustments
We
required.
talked about it all year long.
Yes. Yes, and she had asked a few questions during the year and towards the end of the year also, so she was able to do all of the adjustments, so the finding was able to be removed. So everything else, as far as the audit goes, the opinion is the same. It looks like on the city side, the city had an income, but on the authority side, the AMA, it looks like they had a pretty big loss on the AMA side. One other thing I did notice that I need to change, so I'll need to change it in the report, is if you guys have on page 5, where it shows the list of all the opinion units and the opinions, I forgot to add the new one. The financials are presented in the report for the Gulf Authority, but I forgot to put it in this listing right here. So this page will need to be changed to include that.
Okay.
So, but the numbers will not change, nothing else will change, and it will be an unmodified opinion for the Gulf Authority. One thing of note too that I talked to Kelly about is that it looks like you guys have a lot of federal grants in progress, and that'll require a lot of additional documentation and steps and a lot of extra time on her part and my part and probably anyone else who's involved in the grants next year. So that's probably something during the year you need to be thinking about, of keeping all of the documentation readily available, specifically for the federal grants, because we will need to get pretty much everything if you hit the federal grant mark. And they have bumped it up. It used to be $750,000 for a federal grant, but now it's $1 million. But with, I think you have one grant that's $4 million alone, so, two with USDA.
Yeah.
So between that and some of the other grants that you have going on as well, it's definitely something that you need to be aware of for next year, because it will involve a lot more procedures and a lot more things when it comes down to the audit, so. But as far as this year goes, like I said, everything looks good. We took the finding out. She put in a lot of extra work and was able to do the adjustments herself, so.
Thank you, Kelly. Yep.
Appreciate
Told her
it.
she could do it, and she did.
She did. But if you have any questions, just let me know. But like I said, I will need to make a change
Yeah.
on to add the golf authority. But it is, if you look in the financials, you'll see there is a column for the golf authority.
Yeah, I saw that. I looked at that today, so.
Any other questions or comment?
No, I recommend approving. I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy.
Yes.
Thanks,
You have,
Ashley.
you have everything from me, April, that you need?
Yes, I
Okay,
do.
great. Item number 7, presentation and discussion relating to impact autonomous vehicle project with Dong Zhang. Good evening, Doctor. Yes. They're gonna leave you all to yourself to come up and present tonight. They're not,
All right, we've got copies of the slides,
okay,
council members.
Thank you.
thanks, sir.
Yes. sir.
Yes.
So yeah, my name is Don. I'm representing a team over here with Dr. Lee Song and Dr. Bing Xu. Those are my colleagues at Aerospace Mechanical Engineering with University of Oklahoma. And we're here because of a funded project with Department of Energy on deploying autonomous vehicles, autonomous shuttles in the city of Atoka with collaboration with Jam Transit, Erica, and LaQuinta has been helping us tremendously over the past few months. And we are at a stage where the preliminary service routes, including the day routes and night routes, have been discussed extensively, not only with Jam Transit and also with ODOT this morning. And if you go to the first slide, you have the slides, that's the day routes, where we talk about starting routes from down south in Pilot Travel Center, Walmart up north, and travel a quarter of a mile up north through Virginia, make a left turn into Virginia and Housing Authorities, Alliance Health Center, and all the way north up to Inca headquarters, and then I think through California Street, and then make a right into the Court Street, and ending at downtown around Rivas. We're also talking about including the grocery store. I can't remember what.
Yes, Pruitt.
Pruitt's?
No,
Town and Country?
Oh,
Town and Country,
yes.
yeah. That's not in the service route right now, but hopefully we'll add that later on if possible. And then if you go to the next page, that's the night service route. And that doesn't necessarily include downtown, because we realize most of the businesses in downtown will be closed at night. That's also gonna include the Choctaw Travel Center, the casinos, and also the food chains along the Highway 75 and 69. And on the west side of the highway, it's pretty much the same as day routes. So, you know, also accommodating the truck drivers stopping at the Pilot and also the Love's gas station. So yeah, that's what we got right now. Hopefully we can hear some feedback from you guys or anyone who's watching on YouTube. Yeah, So, next pages are some of the pictures that we took. I think the first one you were seeing are from the Chocolate Nation luncheon last month with the help of Diane. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We went
Thank you
there
for
and
coming.
we did a presentation. We also had a demonstration vehicle at the event, and a lot of people had a quick demo run with autonomous vehicles. Had a great time with running for half a mile or something like that. With Dr. Binshu maneuvering the vehicles. Actually, he didn't have to maneuver because the car mostly drives itself. And they were quite impressed with, at least the people who rode on the cars, quite impressed with, the quietness of the EVs and the fact that they can pretty much take care of itself. And the next page were actually the ones that we were here in December last year, 2024. We had a booth in the food parking lot information session, and next page was pretty much the same thing around the Christmas parade. Attracted a lot of attention on the autonomous vehicles. So in terms of the timeline, I think the deployment will be here next year in 2026. I think it was originally planned for at the beginning of budget period number 3, which is around November timeframe. And it's gonna last for 6 or 7 months, depending on how our testing phase is gonna be going. But then there has been quite a lot of discussion within the weekly meetings with Erica et al. About perhaps turning that into summer 2026, because we anticipate the ridership might be more over the summer than the winter time. So if that's actually the case, we'll have to coordinate with Department of Energy to see if there is a way to bring some of the funds in budget number 3 to budget number 2 to support that. That's in the making, so we're not totally sure yet.
Well, it's been,
Anything you guys want to add?
Oh, the last stops.
Oh, yeah, the bus stops.
Yeah, I was going to about the routes.
Susan looked
Yeah.
up the city code today, and there is limited on the information that's in there about how we would do bus stops. But that would be something that we would need, probably council approval on.
Good.
When you get a chance, Johnny, you might take a peek at it and see what you think. But we would need some kind of signage and permission to use, like, put signage on the easements. And then, they
it's
need to
a
be.
place for them to safely pull out of the lane of traffic to load and
Yes,
unload.
because when you do a fixed route, it can be against the curb, but it has to be ADA accessible.
Sure.
So what we're trying to do is work with the businesses to just get permission just to pull up to their area where it's already ADA and just put the signage in. There will just be a couple of places that we might need, some easement access type of thing that we would probably bring to the council to approve for. But the basis of it is just to get another type of transportation in the city limits.
And it's not the car, it's kind of bus-like,
Yep.
basically, it's two.
It's both.
Oh, I didn't know it was
Yes.
gonna be both. I
They
understood
have
just
5
one.
total,
Yep.
five total vehicles. 3
Okay.
are buses,
Uh-huh.
and that's what we'll use in the daytime, most
Okay.
likely. And then at nighttime, we can open it up a little bit more, use the cars or,
Okay.
something like that,
Okay.
so.
Well, Eric, I want to thank you for your time, and I know you've been spending an enormous amount of energy, and the team from OU, thank you for your time, and this hasn't just happened in a week or two, this has
Oh,
been
no.
ongoing for,
Yeah.
We've
or-
been doing this for
how
a
long have we been at
time.
this, year and a half, at least, something like that?
At least from the initial proposal, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I was gonna
so,
say, I think
I was gonna say, all these projects run together for me, so
Oh, yeah.
it's, but thank you for your time and efforts in trying to help Atoka have more mobility for our citizens. It's, this could be a huge benefit for our citizens to be able to not only get to medical and food services, but also to their jobs and allow more opportunities for people to have more jobs that don't have vehicles to be able to get to work, so I think it'd be a
One
great
of the
benefit.
good things, one of the things that we found when we did a different pilot project was that, the truckers coming in, they wanna shop downtown, but they can't get the trucks down there. So they used when we were running that night service, they used that a lot. So we're hoping that being a pilot and Walmart will attract those kind of people to come downtown and enjoy some of our downtown stuff that, I mean, the Brickyard's open late, the Reva's is open, most days of the week, so we're hoping that we can, generate a little bit more traffic and do it that way.
It's exciting to see this project move forward, so.
Thank you. We're happy to help with the residents here.
The only announcements is the. You wanna come up? Traffic count camera.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
So, yeah, we would like also to see the possibility of install camera at the intersections to do the control of the highway. I know some kind of major roads to like 24 hours and also probably a week long. So we know like at which time the traffic, we can count exactly how many cars pass through that intersection.
I told them it's been a while since we did one of those. that-
ODOT will have some data, but not at the hard intersections, probably where you need the data. So those are definitely things that we can work with the Department of Transportation and see if there's availabilities there, or if it's something that we can, is this something you may be able to add into your grant to implement those? So you're just needing locations, approval on locations to be able to install them?
You guys have the cameras, right?
Yeah, we can have all.
They have all the supplies and everything, they just need your permission or Danny's permission to set them.
Well, we just, in
What-
figuring out the
ODOT,
location, and,
right?
yeah, we might,
Oh,
because it
yeah.
is in their right of way on some of these things. On city streets, that's something I think the city staff can work with you on, but if it's on the state right of way, we definitely need to, have ODOT involved in those conversations, so they don't drive by and wonder what that is on some of their things, so.
So, yeah, we only need it for like short period of time,
Sure.
probably a week or two, and then we can also share all the data with the public.
Okay.
Probably would beneficial to the city later if you need to know exactly,
We've
the
used it
traffic.
before when we were doing some kind of study. When did we do that? 2 years ago? Remember when Carol did it?
No, I don't think it's something like what he's talking about.
The
That's the
traffic
data
count?
system that she
Oh,
pulls
okay.
in from another company. So, yes, we can do that, and I think that's something that ODOT would be highly interested in seeing those results as well, so. I
Yeah,
think
because
that,
we always hear like the 69, 75 is busy, but we know like we don't know how busy it is,
Right.
at which time. Sometimes it's very, very crowded, sometimes not that, busy.
you don't wanna stand there all day and count cars? Okay,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely work on that for you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Just one last thing. Erica is running a Facebook page called Impact-Atoka, and we've been posting materials on that page, educational, introductory about the project, and we also post surveys on that page.
I think you've been sharing some of the stuff that's been coming up too. So,
Yeah.
city's been sharing and
Okay.
most of us
Great.
have been trying to keep it out there, so, we've got that survey though going right now to kind of get some
Yeah.
feedback from the community.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Is it a written survey?
Yeah, I have written copies at the office.
Okay, if you give me some, I can
Oh, yeah,
take them
that'd be
out
great.
to.
Oh, great.
Uh,
Take it
Yeah.
out to the chocolate.
You want me to bring them out Wednesday, or are you doing is it this week?
Oh, it's every Wednesday.
Okay,
Mhm.
I'll, bring some out Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
great.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys. Safe trip back.
All right, as we move on down the agenda, this is public request agenda item. Item 1, discussion and or action on request of Ryan Eves for variance regarding facade treatment on property located at 925 West 13th Street. Mr. Eves, Representative Eves, good evening.
Nope, it's just Ryan Eves.
right, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Council, as the mayor alluded to, got a piece of property, 925 West 13th. I'm glad he said it. I didn't even remember the address anymore. All of you, if you'll remember back, you know what the building looked like. You go back a decade when I bought that company from Extended Family, there was manufacturing that took place there. Within 6 months, I moved manufacturing out of it. The building itself, in 2019, I moved out of that building completely, the help of the city, into another location that consolidated both manufacturing and retail space for me. That building has been sitting there with big plans for a long time. As all of y'all know, it takes time to get plans done. I did not know it was causing any issues. I'm here because if you've noticed the building, and I've had people ask, when I came and got my permit for a remodel on that, as you noticed, there used to be a jut out at the front of it. I cut it off to square the building back up. We reskinned it. If you'll notice the front of it, you'll see galvalume sheet iron up so high. The reason and intent behind that was, look, Eve Stone actually manufactures a facade product, and that's what's going on there. The reason for the delay in putting it up, my life took me a another direction for a little bit. Currently, we're working, and we've got one product finalized, probably ready to go to market, that is a quick connect stone veneer system. We're working on another one right now. One of those two systems is what's going to go on the front of that building. If you'll notice, that building's divided up for 4 potential retail spaces in time. My wife has been a little bit slow on picking out what type of awning to go over the door, whether it's vinyl, you know, those, I don't know if you call it vinyl, but those cloth type awnings. So the building itself, from the front highway view, will have, you know, an awning that establishes each individual retail section in that building. And like I said, there will be stone veneer at the bottom of it. All I'm asking for is that, you know, the council consider that enough. So, as we say at my other job, I yield for questions and request passage.
Well, I didn't understand, I guess I didn't know that you're asking, are you asking for a delay to put the stone?
No,
You
I
were
did,
saying-
so initially, and we'll go full circle, when I came in to, and I don't wanna use nobody's name, but when I got the permit, here, I was asked what the plans were. That building was built in 1983. It was in bad shape. Part of my reasoning for moving everything out of it was the building was in bad shape. Structurally, and, listen, I think everybody in here agree that it was terrible looking. Previous owners of that business, as a stone veneer manufacturer, had used the outside of that building as a marketing tool, which is why there was about 3 different profiles and 2 or 3 different colors of stone veneer on that building. When we tore all that skin off, the building prior was just brown sheet iron, R-panel sheet iron. When I tore it off, I mean, it was fairly easy to tear off because they just stuck everything to the outside of that sheet iron. I had explained to prior city officials what my plan was as far as squaring the building back up, facading the front up so high, and I was told because it was a remodel project, that was good, because the building itself predates any facade codes, was what I was told. So that was why, if you'll notice, like I said, the building itself now is white sheet iron, but that part that's going to be covered in facade, I mean, look, that's saving money, that's just galvanum down there, that's why it looks a little different than the rest of the building, so.
So what is a variance for? Is it, what does our policy say? I mean, I'm not understanding what.
So code enforcement has been to the office a number of times while I've been away, and I guess, and I'm not, if I'm wrong, somebody tell me. My understanding now is code enforcement is 100% or 75% of
100%.
highway facing frontage, and I'm asking for the variance because, you know, I'm already this far in and I was told it would be fine, so that's what I'm asking for.
So you're wanting to put stone at the bottom, but keep the R panel
Yes.
up the top?
Yes.
And then cover. then
Cover
put
the
individual
doors,
awnings.
potentially the windows too, and once again, I mean, you know, if the, you know, city tells me I have to, we'll cover the windows too, but I'm waiting on my wife to decide which type of.
See, I have had so much strong opposition to our policies in the past on this facade, and I just want to, I guess we need to do something different with our policy too. You know, I don't know, it just seems like, you know, it's, when you got somebody coming to your house fussing about the facade, you know, it's kinda upsetting, so.
Well, I don't want you to be upset at me.
Well, I'm not, you didn't come to my house.
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I pulled up the map of what it looked like the last time. This is what it looks like right now?
No.
It's got,
So this weird jut out piece right here?
It's gone.
That's gone.
Okay.
So I cut it off and squared the whole building.
okay.
Yeah.
And
All
so
of-
all this is metal then around it?
Yes.
And all you're wanting to do is put halfway up of rock or
So
something?
It's 10 foot eve high on the eve. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. And you can see, so we put in trim right there with
Mm-hmm.
intentions of coming up to this point with rock. I could have had it done by now, had I wanted to use one of our existing stone profiles or whatever. This, once again, we have 2 additional products that we're working on that are real, they're a mechanically fastened stone
We
veneer
never realized
product
I had paper.
that
We
will
have
just
one.
screw into.
Oh, okay, I'm
I didn't
sorry.
realize we had
I
one
didn't
sitting.
realize.
I'm sorry.
You gotta admit, it looks better now than it did. Yeah.
Is this office spaces or?
The plan is there's gonna be 4, roughly 1,100 square foot,
Thanks.
1,100 square foot retail spaces in there. That's why you see 4 doors. They're evenly spaced down through the building. Like I said, each retail space is gonna be roughly 25 foot wide, 44 foot was the width of the building, I believe. That's where you get the 1,100 square foot.
Well, in my opinion, we've let people have just plain old metal, so if you wanna do halfway facade, I think that's a good thing.
Well, I think so too, but what I think is that we need to do something with
I
our
agree.
policy.
I-
We
Johnny?
can't just keep doing variances all the time.
Johnny, the firm that we've contracted with is looking at,
I just got our lot split ordinance back. We're gonna start reviewing it at our next council meeting, and we're gonna move on to our facade ordinance with them. You know, the whole purpose of this ordinance, and this was passed prior to my time.
Yes,
and
it
that's why
was.
It's written so poorly.
It's a nice plug for himself.
don't
Typical
throw your shoulder
lawyer.
out patting yourself on
Well,
the
listen, I just hire somebody. I don't do it myself, because I know I would write it this
Yeah,
poorly.
yeah.
The whole point of this was, in our major traffic areas, we wanted to cut down on just the cheap metal buildings that people were throwing up all over the place, because they don't look like a nice town.
Right, I agree.
This ordinance just doesn't do that.
Right.
It's just unworkable in its current structure. And that's why we've got into the position, number one, he got that advice from code enforcement, if they told him that. But number 2, we've gotten into positions where we've made people
Do it.
do it. The T-shirt
I know.
shop across the street from him,
Well, and ultimately,
they
I
complied
agree.
with it.
I agree.
Sort of, because code enforcement allowed their awning to pass.
Pass.
The awning is our panel sheet metal.
Yeah.
You know, no one caught that, you know. So, you know, we've got ourselves in a position where we're really incapable of enforcing it, because we have, you know, allowed so much in the past that it, you know, we're still getting our panel sheet metal buildings, you know. So, I mean, it's gonna be difficult for you to tell Mr. Eves that he has to comply with it at
well, it's
the
not
same-
difficult, you can tell me.
At the same
You know,
time.
I mean, look, I don't want to be a problem, and I would have never thought that the building
Well, I
would
would
cause
think
an
so.
issue after what it was compared to what it is now.
But at the same time, you're also at a point where the ordinance just isn't functioning in the manner and intent that you
It's
wanted
not.
it to, so. I don't think that a variance is appropriate here. I don't think it meets the legal definitions of a variance.
So,
At the same time, I don't think you're in a position where you can enforce the ordinance when it's been so,
It's not
been deviated from so often.
You know what that sounds like?
What?
Lawyer talk.
That's lawyer talk. Yeah, it is.
Well,
February through May, I'm
Well, let me
around
tell
it
you,
all the time.
The state legislature, in their infinite wisdom, has a series of factors that they put in place as to when a variance is appropriate. And
We'll review that next
this
session.
does not meet those factors that are in place to grant a variance.
But don't we need to put something in that gives him approval to move on?
What I
with
would
building?
recommend at this point is we just vacate this ordinance at an upcoming meeting, and we work towards getting something in place that's more effective and does what you wanna do. And we need to have that discussion in an
and
open
until
council.
then, what do you do?
Well,
Is that,
what he
is
just
that your
said,
timeline, okay? If we,
Until the policies change.
I don't have a timeline. I mean,
Well, if you
I want to
vacate
get
it, then
it
he
done
can-
as
he
fast
moves
as
on
I
with what he's
can.
gonna
He can do what he's doing.
and then we could come
we'll
back
work on-
ASAP and get our
Probably
other.
we'll, at the next meeting, we'll vacate this, and at the same time, we will have a in-depth conversation about what your goals are with regards to facades.
Okay.
We can't regulate facades in residential neighborhoods.
That's 3 weeks away, though.
Our legislature has
Okay.
told us we can't do that. Notice how I keep blaming him for things, so.
But you're not even looking at it.
Predated me, much like
Yes,
this
it
building
predated him.
that we're talking about.
But, so when I talk about facades, we're only dealing in commercial districts.
Okay.
But we need to, come up with what your goals are. I know the goal in the past has been, we don't want metal barns running up and down 69 highway.
But we we've approved a couple of them, so.
Well, the laundromat was the most recent, and we didn't give them a variance. What we did was we just
We approved.
limited our interpretation of the ordinance by saying that the only thing that is prohibited is R-panel and standing seam, those items that are specifically listed in the prohibited section. Standing seam panels, aluminum siding, and R-panels.
And that was a new
Because-
building. not
Because we
a
know that
remodeled.
Oh,
we
yeah,
are
true.
using metal facades, Quick Trip. The entire frontage of their awnings is all metal facades. The same with, the truck stop outside of town. So we know we're using metal facades, so we just limited our interpretation to be, R-panel standing seams. And the product that the laundromat brought into us was billed as a metal siding, not an R-panel
Right.
product. Now, I've since been told by other people that they just took the R-panel and reversed it, and I don't know enough about it to know if that's what they did or not.
Yeah, that's what it
No,
is.
but it's a look of, and that's what I'm saying, is, we've got the look of.
But it doesn't, I don't think it looks near as well as what any of us had anticipated that it would look like. I mean, it did not meet the presentation.
I mean, it's okay, but
And
it
so,
just,
Well, it looks better than what was there.
it does look better than what was there.
and it doesn't look like, an R-panel metal barn. I mean,
No.
It does look like they did something different, so.
Now, where's all this hatred for R-PAM?
Well,
And I say that because at Evestone in the last 10 years, we've seen such a massive growth in the
we're just trying to build.
barndominium look that you want to talk about. And
We're
I-
just
whether-
trying to build your business. We're trying to sell your product.
That's what I'm talking about.
You don't need to be promoting our care.
Listen,
You sell
I
facade
tell
treatments.
everybody, you put it with RP, put it with whatever you want. you know.
Out of all the people in the world that should be,
No, it's-
supporting
there is
facade treatments.
100 square foot jobs is bigger than one 500 square foot jobs.
Well, the original start of this was, there were small metal homes that were gonna look more like shop buildings. That is
Right.
what started this conversation.
Yes.
And through that process, it's like, well, if you're dealing with the residential side of it, because these were very small square footage buildings that this individual was looking at doing.
They're basically sheds,
That's what they would look like, yes.
prefab sheds.
Yes.
Yeah, and so, if you're, and I can't speak for the rest of the council, but my opinion was if you have, stick-built home or pier and beam home next to that, what does that do to your
Property
property?
values.
So those were the concerns, and that's why we looked at addressing it. And through that process came along the conversation about the commercial side. Well, what do we do about commercial business? So we put something together, and as we just said, it hasn't gone swimmingly. So, trying to correct that is already on the list of to-dos. And, that's been the challenge through this process every time we turn around, so. Like I said, I know you've been working on that thing a long time, and I don't remember when we started this.
Well,
when it went into effect,
and
when
listen,
you
and
started.
I had no intentions, and just so y'all know that, most of you that know me know this is the fact. I had no intentions of causing anybody any issues. It was just a eyesore on a high-traffic corner that was in dire need of updating. That location is ideal for some retail-type stuff. It was never good for what small level of manufacturing Ray, Larry, and David did there. Once again, you're talking about 25 years ago, a very small business, that was the cheapest way to market a product for them at that time, was
Absolutely.
just stick it on the outside of the building. Listen, we've all been there at times. That was not the intent here. And like I said, I literally could have had the bottom front already finished with brick or stone or whatever 6 or 8 months ago, except that, like I said, we're in the process of working on a mechanically fastened stone veneer versus the standard way that it's been done for years. And I've held off with no intentions of causing anybody any.
Sure.
I never wanted anybody to come to your house because of a
Thank
building
you.
of mine. But the reason being is because, like I said, anybody that's been in R&D or manufacturing, you know, it's usually Rev F, G, or H by the time you finally get something figured out. So you can go out there and see all these,
Spare parts in the corner?
yeah, but, you know, first try, second try, third try, and we're getting really close. One of these products is ready. The other one, I guess it would be Rev G or F that was poured today, will be demolded tomorrow, and then I'll punch myself in the head and say, man, I can't believe I missed that, and back to the drawing board. So like I said, it's sat like that for 6, 7 months now, because I didn't want to have to send a crew up there with, you know, mud and sand and individual rock to put up on it. I wanted to use one of these, and here we go. It's a very nice product too, by the way, if y'all, you know, are doing,
Know anybody?
yeah, if y'all know anybody, so.
Okay.
So what are you saying, Johnny, today?
I'm saying take no action tonight, and we will have an ordinance to address it next week, or next meeting.
I recommend approving that.
We're not gonna take any action.
Oh, then I don't recommend approving that.
Okay, so
No action
no
taken.
action taken, we'll get back, go from there.
We will scrap this one, and we will.
Which means I
start
can move on.
with something
Thank you.
different.
Okay, so.
What if I have a product that is weathered barnwood look, but is a manufactured product? Is that going to fall into the, it would look really good on a building like
As
this,
long
is
as
all
it's
I'm asking.
not-
Literally, I cut down a 100-year-old barn and reclaimed a bunch of wood out of it and made a bunch of molds just to see if the product, it's amazing looking.
Yeah, it's, and that's the problem with our current ordinance is we really have no control over what people do with the front of their building, as long as it's not standing seam panels or R
Was
panels.
something drawn on it?
Exactly.
So let me ask
You know,
this.
they could come up and put
Seashells.
seashells.
And I guess that was gonna be my question, Johnny. Literally, I could go to Wirex tomorrow and buy
sounds
some
crazy.
4x8 OSB and put up at the bottom,
Exactly.
and that's,
Well, no, OSB has to be painted.
That's
and
fine.
it has
I
to
can
be
back up a
rock-
can of spray
Has to
paint.
be rock proof, but yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the ordinance is we can't, I mean, we got Willie Nelson smoking pot, but we can't, or
We
whatever.
got,
the
what's his
mural-
name?
you
It's not
know,
Willie
we got
Nelson, it's
the-
all right, all right, all
Oh,
right.
yeah. So, we got.
That is Matthew
Matthew
McConaughey. Willie Nelson.
We have no.
You
way
are
of-
not that old.
We have no way of, it can look ugly as long as it's not our panel,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the problem with the current version.
And that's what's wrong with the current version.
Yeah.
And you're picking out two very specific metals, and there's a plethora of these, because there's plenty others that look very similar to our panel that aren't our panel.
that's exactly right.
And
I
so
mean,
6
literally,
of
you've
one,
got
half does the
safety
other.
lock sheets now that are the exact same profile as our panel, that literally someone could walk in here and say, it's not our panel, it's safety lock. Same profile. And then that may not be the trademark.
So those are the challenges that we're up against.
And, you know, we have the consulting firm that is helping us with our code books, and they've written the code for the lot splits that we're gonna debate here in a few weeks, but, and they already have this on their list of things we're gonna work through next. I think this provision was took from another city that had a very in-depth design review committee in place, and they did not adopt the whole ordinance. They adopted one section that really just doesn't work without the rest of the body of ordinance.
It's like trying to bake a cake without all the ingredients.
Yeah.
Well, if you have design review, you can always block it at second base. I mean, if it gets past the first, I mean, you have that other.
And this even references our design review committee, but we
Yeah.
don't have one, and we have no ordinance that establishes
Yeah.
one, so, you know, just, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Now, we will have this discussion next week about, you know, are we gonna go there? Are we gonna head towards a design review process? But, that'll be for another day.
Okay.
So to answer his question, he asked you while we were discussing some other things, is he on hold until we decide what we're doing here?
Yeah.
I can move forward
I will
with
call
existing
off the code
plans.
enforcement with the understanding that we are going to vacate this ordinance at our next council meeting and start working on something new that works.
So if somebody comes up and says, I wanna do that in the meantime before the policy is done,
They're
then,
gonna be allowed to,
okay.
and we're just gonna have to live with it.
All right.
I mean, it's not ideal, but.
No,
I mean, it's where
still,
we're at.
Is there any construction going on where that would
who
happen?
knows?
No.
No.
Not yet,
Probably
but
not.
they will if the word gets out. Don't tell anybody, Ryan.
I don't know.
I know a few people that would.
Other than that camera over there, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
The tens of people that are watching tonight, they,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we're up to that.
you're not that high, that's house. We've got about tens of people that watch
Usually about one
daily.
that's
Ones
you,
of
isn't it?
people, yeah, that's usually me.
Ones of people.
Okay.
Well, listen, I want to thank everybody. It blows me away that something like this, you know, would, I want to personally apologize to you. I
No,
didn't-
thank you, it wasn't you.
No,
so-
I know, but there's, you know, that was never my intent. My
Thank
intent
you.
was to help make the city look better. You know, yeah, there's a certain level of country in me that likes our panel, that likes our panel and rock combined, so, said if everybody's good, I mean, that's the plan, and I can, put my wife on a faster stick of figuring out what kind of awning she wants, and, you know, if y'all want to see them before, you know, I can bring it down and let you look at it, that's not a problem, so. And I can't, don't ask me for a time frame, because like I said, I'd love to have it done next week.
Understand.
And I'll try,
Well,
but every time I turn around,
I
someone
would
calls me back to the
suggest
city, so.
you get it done between the day of our vacating this one and our implementation of the new
Well,
one.
you text me what those days are, so that I'll know the window to blow and go.
Okay. All right. We good?
Good?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
y'all.
Ryan, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, as we move down, is there any council comments?
Ron, we have 4 more meetings.
No.
You might as well hang around.
And hearing no more, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion and second, roll call please.
Mr. Sherrill,
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. All right, as we move into our next meeting of the evening, Atoka Municipal Authority, would you call roll, please?
Ms. Pogue,
Here.
Mr. Turner, Mr. Sherrill,
Here.
Ms. McGee,
Here.
Chairman Kathy.
Here. Public comment time, if anything is not on the posted agenda, you may address the board at this time. And hearing none, we will move down to the business agenda. Item number 1, discussion and/or action regarding approving or rejecting the minutes of the meeting of June 2nd, 2025.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
Motion and second, roll call please.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill.
Yes.
Mr. Kathy.
Yes. Item number 2, discussion and/or action on approving or rejecting the payment of purchase orders for the Atoka Municipal Authority for the month of May 2025. Mr.
Those are on
Dooley?
attachment number 2, if anyone has any questions, those were reviewed as well.
Yeah, I recommend approving.
I'll second.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Item number 3, discussion and/or action to approve or reject the payment of invoice number 8 on the Headworks project to Wall Engineering in the amount of $14,615.40.
That is explained on attachment number 3, broken down in 2 areas there. It comes up with that total.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Any trustee comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. All right, as we move into our next meeting of the evening, the Atoka City Industrial Development Authority, would you call roll please?
Ms. McGee,
Here.
Mr. Turner, Ms. Pogue,
Here.
Mr. Sherrill,
Here.
Mr. Kathy,
Here. This is the public comment time. Again, anything that's not on the posted agenda may address the board at this time. Hearing none, we'll move down to the business agenda. Item number 1, discussion and/or action regarding approving and rejecting the minutes of the meeting of June 2nd, 2025.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
A motion is second, roll call please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Item number 2, discussion and/or action regarding accepting or rejecting the Economic Development Director's report. Mr. Dealey?
That is on attachment number 2, if anyone has any questions. And
It's been raining so much.
I was gonna say, I checked with Wall Engineering, which I mentioned there in the third to last paragraph. They're still on schedule for those timeframes
Okay.
on the program.
Okay.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
A motion is second, roll call please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Item number 3, discussion and/or action on approving or rejecting the payment of purchase orders for the Atoka City Industrial Development Authority for the month of May 2025.
Those are on attachment number 3, if anyone has any questions.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
A motion is second, roll call please.
sorry, Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Any trustee comments here? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. As we move into the next meeting of the evening, the Atoka Industrial Facilities Authority, would you call roll please?
Mr. Turner, Ms. McGee,
Here.
Mr. Sherrill,
Here.
Ms. Pogue,
Here.
Mr. Kathy,
Here. Again, this is public comment time, so anything that's not on the posted agenda, you may address the board. Hearing none, we'll move down to the business agenda. Item number 1, discussion and/or action regarding approving or rejecting the minutes of the meeting of May 22nd, 2025.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Item number 2, discussion and/or action regarding accepting or rejecting the sports complex manager's report. I'm assuming they are playing ball this evening or mopping the field off to dry it out?
They're trying to do makeups tonight. I had them to give us a little brief analysis of what they're up to lately, which has been battling the weather as everybody else has, man. Poor Destry, he's had to reschedule and move stuff around but they've maintained.
Good.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
Motion is second, roll call please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue. Sorry,
Yes.
looked at-
I know.
Sorry, I did, I told
You
you
looked
that.
at me, but
Yes.
I said, did I say yes to Eric?
I'm sorry.
That's all right, no problem.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. All
It's
right.
hot in there yet.
Yeah, I'm so smart to take my jacket off, but anyway, we'll keep going. Item number 3, discussion and/or action on approving or rejecting the payment of purchase orders for the Atoka Industrial Facilities Authority for the month of May 2025.
And those are on attachment number 3 as well.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second, roll call please.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Let's move down, is there any trustee comments here? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'm gonna make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, roll call please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. All right, this is the meeting we're looking for. As we move into our next meeting of the evening, the Atoka City Airport Authority Trust, would you call roll, please?
Ms. McGee,
Here.
Mr. Sherrill,
Here.
Ms. Pogue,
Here.
Mr. Turner, Mr. Kathy,
Here. It's public comment time. Again, anything's not on the posted agenda may address the board at this time. And hearing none, we'll move down to business agenda. Item number 1, discussion and/or action approving or rejecting the minutes of the meeting of May 22nd, 2025.
I recommend approving.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Let's move down to item 2. Again, this is off, you'll see this is what we had on the city council from Lochner. And this item is discussion and/or action to enter into an agreement between the city of Atoka and H.W. Lochner, Inc. for airport planning services in the amount of $380,400. Planning services include the completion of an environmental assessment, an airport layout plan, which will evaluate potential environmental impacts and illustrate a future development of a replacement airport. Entering into this agreement will void the previous approved airport planning agreement between the city of Atoka and H.W. Lochner, Inc., approved on May 22nd, 2025. And as he said before, that was due to some changes that were recommended by the FAA.
And I would just mention that the Airport Authority Trust is not entering into this agreement. We are just acknowledging
Gee,
that the city
correct.
of Atoka has entered into this agreement. So we would need a motion not to enter the agreement, but to acknowledge that the agreement was entered between the city of Atoka and Lochner.
I recommend approving what Johnny said.
So moved. So I have a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second? Is that a second?
Yeah,
Okay,
second.
Yeah.
sorry. My hearing aids are turned off. Roll call, please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes. Number 3, assuming same thing, acknowledging an adoption of the
Yes,
resolution?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, item number 3, discussion and/or action to approve or reject the adoption of resolution number 2025-13, accepting a grant offer from the U.S. Department of Transportation Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, for an airport layout plan and environmental assessment, FAA BIL project number 3-40-0088-017-2025, and FAA AIP project number 3-40-0124-18-2025 for the Atoka Municipal Airport. Do I hear a motion?
So I could just recommend the adoption of the resolution? No.
We're
Acknowledgement of-
acknowledging
Acknowledging.
that the city of Atoka has adopted this resolution.
Recommend approving that.
Yes.
I'll
what I
second.
said.
A motion and a second, roll call, please.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes.
And, Ms. McGee, we do this just so there's a record in the Airport Authority Trust
Okay.
of the actions that the city has done.
Instead of entering.
As you're aware, there's no funding mechanism in the Airport Authority Trust, so we don't ever spend any money out of there. But we still want to make sure that there is a bookkeeping record of airport activities that the city has spent money on within that trust, in case anyone ever wants to review that, whether it's the FAA or whoever.
Anybody
And-
else?
And the reason the trust was started was the rental space, the lease space where the hangars are at the airport. When it was under the city, it was a year-to-year contract. So trying to incentivize pilots to build hangars when they only have a one-year contract was somewhat questionable for some to go spend that dollar amount. So entering into a trust allows them the ability to have longer-term contracts so they can go bill and allows for transfer of the leases
And
with
if we
approval.
Get the new airport built, this trust will get a lot more use.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right then. Okay.
So this time, is there any trustee comments? And hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Pogue,
Yes.
Mr. Sherrill,
Yes.
Ms. McGee,
Yes.
Mr. Kathy,
Yes, we are adjourned for the evening. Thank you all.
7:30 appointment.
Time
You're
for
welcome.
Thunder